Over the weekend, Donald Trump's lawyers indicated they plan on using videos of Democrats inciting violence all throughout 2020 during the impeachment defense of Donald Trump at his upcoming Senate trial, which starts tomorrow, February 9th. And indeed, this morning, they dropped a 78-page legal brief, which touches on some of the incitement as well as lays out the overarching strategy that this impeachment is wholly improper and unconstitutional for a couple reasons. We're going to take a look at some of those arguments in just a second. But who am I? I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer and a legal and political commentator here on YouTube. So if you like news, opinion, and analysis of legal and political stories, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. In fact, I'm going to be covering this impeachment pretty extensively, live streaming it when possible, and starting that tonight, I will be doing a live stream at 11 p.m. Central Time, going through this entire 78-page brief, and we will be discussing the legal concepts behind it. So if you are awake and want to, come join for that live stream for a full look at this brief. Let's talk, though, about the Democrats inciting violence. This is a good legal strategy and a good practical strategy, because Democrats all throughout 2020 were involved in many ways, we'll say, with the riots that plagued major metropolitan areas and even smaller metropolitan areas across the entire country. In some cases, these riots and violence went on for months at a time, with silence at best from many, many prominent Democrats. But at worst, they were encouraging not only uprising and protests, but actually encouraging violence and making people uncomfortable and other sorts of things, advocating for action against GOP lawmakers and members of the president's cabinet or staff. These people were engaged in extremely charged political rhetoric and now are hypocritically condemning the president for, when you actually look at the rhetoric the president used on January 6th, rather mild sort of sentiments towards the idea of protesting. And all of the sentiments that Donald Trump had indicated on January 6th indicated that people should be peaceful and respecting the law. Now, the Democrats have latched on to a specific expression of fighting like hell. But let's look at some of the Democrats' words during the 2020 riots. This is from the legal brief itself. Now, this is on page 63, I think, and they're focusing on these words. Fight and fighting have been used by many. None are impeachable. Now, they are saying in this brief that nobody should be impeached for this inflammatory political rhetoric. You may or may not agree with that, and that's fine. But for the purposes of the legal defense, this is the wise strategy, pointing out that Nancy Pelosi said, quote, "I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be," for example. That is, in many, many opinions, that could be a dog whistle for people to actually engage in unrest and saying, oh, you'll have legal coverage. This is justified, right? This is coming from one of the most powerful Democrats in the country and certainly one of the most prominent. They also have words from Ayanna Pressley saying there needs to be unrest in the streets. Was that a call for violence? Was that a call for the riots that occurred? And of course, they go to Maxine Waters, an absolutely objectively terrible person with terrible opinions, saying, quote, "You think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Already you have members of your cabinet that are being booed out of restaurants, protesters taking up at their house saying no peace, no sleep. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gas station, you should get out. You get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them why they're not welcome anymore anywhere. We want history to record that we stood up, that we pushed back, that we fought. Now, was Maxine Waters engaged in incitement? A lot of people would suggest yes. But critically, the Democrats in Congress have done nothing to even reprimand her for these actions. And this, of course, is the criticism that Trump's team is laying out. Now, they also took some time to blast the narrative presented by the House managers, who are basically the prosecutors of the impeachment, and their out of context, cherry-picked sort of look at Donald Trump's speech. So this is the type of stuff that is in the brief. Again, it's an interesting brief with a very strong argument that this is unconstitutional. Now, a couple words about that real quick. Is this impeachment actually unconstitutional? We don't know. There isn't a way to know this because the Supreme Court isn't going to answer that question now, and they may never in the future. But this isn't a legal argument over constitutionality in the traditional sense. This argument won't play out in the same way because this argument is being presented in a political manner. They don't have to convince the court through legal reasoning that this is an unconstitutional impeachment. What they have to do is convince the Republicans that this is an unconstitutional impeachment and that they should not go ahead and convict Donald Trump. Now, 45 Republicans have already indicated out of 50 that they believe that this is an unconstitutional impeachment. We will have to see if that holds true through the impeachment trial as all of this is argued in front of the Senate. But right now, they do not have the votes to go ahead and get Donald Trump to be convicted on the impeachment. Again, we'll have to see how that pans out and if any Republicans will flip the script on it. But they have focused in this legal brief and in their upcoming arguments on this idea that this is entirely improper. But it's not just improper, they're saying, because he is a sitting or no longer the sitting president. They're also saying it's improper for a lack of due process and for a slew of other things. Again, go ahead and stop by the live stream tonight if you want to get that full breakdown and to see what arguments they're actually putting out. The arguments they are generally avoiding, they are avoiding any mention of fraud, or I shouldn't say any mention, but they're avoiding a focus on any sort of fraud in the election. So if you were hoping for them to come out and mount a defense by presenting a bunch of evidence about improper voting procedures and things like that, you're going to be disappointed in the impeachment, most likely. That is not a focus of their argument. And I have in a video why I think that is the appropriate legal move for them, even though I would love to see them come present that case. That is not the right move for their client, the president, in preventing him from this impeachment conviction. So there you go, guys. I will have a link to all these things down in the description for your own perusal. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me if there's any sort of incitement that you saw from the Democrats that they missed in this brief. I would love to see it down in the comments below. And until we talk next time, have a good day. Peace. Peace.